think that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. You know, Pac just had died.
So this one night, 50 called me up, and you know, they got him on the phone, man. He was just talking. We was talking about old time shit, you know, sit down with Black Hands, sit down with, you know, with Puff kids, the whole Puff situation.
An empire collapsed. A man went to prison. And the internet immediately started pointing fingers at everyone who ever stood near him. 50 Cent produced a Netflix documentary that set the world on fire. It climbed to #1 globally. And then the speculation began. Suddenly, a new name was everywhere. Snoop Dogg. Trending. Accused. Supposedly hiding. Was there footage that 50 Cent chose not to show? Were there flash drives? Did silence equal guilt? Before you make up your mind, you need to hear what the evidence actually says. Because the real story here isn't about Snoop panicking. It's about how fast a rumor can become a verdict. Stay with me, because this story goes deeper than you think. And the truth? It's a lot more complicated than the headlines. If you want the facts, not the speculation, hit subscribe right now and keep watching. This breakdown does not pull punches.
It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey over that, you know, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these are dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa, wait a minute, fellas here, hold on. You know, I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my people.
Real, that's what we came in for. We came in and light it up and ride it up. We never used to air.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfucker that everybody say got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac, you know, we grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual. You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with him, you probably could have said, you know what, I probably ain't gonna come out, you know, publicly with this because until things clear up. So I really know I could be certain that, you know, they didn't have nothing to do with Pac. But it's like, it was no, you know, okay, it is what it is. So that I never really respected that back then.
So you had an issue with it. You didn't like it?
Never really liked it. It just was a strange look because you was Pac boy. You know what I mean? Puffy, you know, it's clear they had some issues with Pac. And Pac died and all of a sudden you chilling with Puffy. Back then it just, okay, now you can say what you want. All grandfathers, I guess. You know what I mean? That's different now. But back then I think it was weird, it was tasteless. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like you really had that much love for Pac. You could have just, you know what I mean? Unless he pressured them or like questioned Puffy, like, yo, what's up with this? What's up with that? Then you could say.
Before Sean Combs ever sat in a prison cell, he made a decision that would haunt everything that came after. He hired a photographer to follow him everywhere, to document his own legend, to build the narrative he controlled. Then the arrest came, the trial came, and that footage, it found its way to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson and landed in a Netflix documentary that the whole world watched.
I believe somebody mentioned that they seen a video with me and the dude Prodigy or one of the dudes from ID. as if I was with. They don't know the backdrop of that. I went to his hotel room ready to fight. Like, bro, I'll fight everybody in that room one-on-one. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. The Outlaws was with me. My homie Tiny, the Mexican homie, was with me. I didn't go there and say, let me get in a video with these guys. I went there knocking on their door, doom, doom, doom. Tell them dudes to come out. What's up with y'all? What's up with you and Pac? You got a problem with Pac? Because we could just fight like man to man, face to face, and then shake hands. That was my approach with them. But when they told me they didn't have no problem, I don't mind being with you. You know what I mean? I don't mind shaking your hand because they told me they had love for Pac. So that's different. You know what I mean? If he come out and say, well, I questioned Puffy about it. I believe that he didn't, he loved Pac. That's my opinion. I can move the way I want to move. So when people try to, I noticed somebody, I think on your page do that. Well, Napoleon was in the video with Mobb Deep. They don't know how I got in that video with Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? I pulled up on him but I'm the type of person, I never been a bully type of person. You know what I mean? If I talk to a person like a man and they tell me face to face, look, I got love for Pac, I'm comfortable to know if I can look in their eyes, if I believe what they said, I have the right to say, okay, no problem, I believe you. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pac just had died. You know what I mean? Like, he had the right to say, the reason why I'm rolling with Puffy, I questioned him about my homie. He gave me this answer. So then he did what he had to do. But it just, you know what I mean? I never really agree with that, to be honest. The same way I couldn't be on the stage with him. When they wanted to do that tribute, I just couldn't do it. Like, I really felt in my heart, like, man, I can't believe this.
This is where the danger starts, when proximity replaces.
But the documentary wasn't even finished trending before the internet moved on to its next target. Within hours, Snoop Dogg's name was everywhere. Headlines claiming he was panicking, videos claiming he was hiding, posts claiming that specific footage about him had been deliberately kept out of 50 Cent's final cut. Voices started echoing what Gan Deal, a former bodyguard connected to Diddy, had said in interviews, that some people were nervous, that not everything made it into the documentary. That single sentence was enough. The content machine ran with it. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly what 50 Cent's documentary did and did not show. We're going to look at how Snoop has responded. And most importantly, we're going to separate what is confirmed from what is pure speculation.
Team could support.
Diddy was doing a documentary thinking he was going to come out triumphant.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how this started, is he started filming himself and getting this footage because he thought he was going to beat everything. Okay,
Diddy
that makes sense. Okay.
Has a relationship
with Netflix. I knew that.
With
Ted Sarandis. I saw that. Yes. Okay.
And he's filming it there. But of course, when you get, obviously it wasn't a clean sweep on the prosecutor's side, but you're still going to prison.
Yeah.
He basically kind of scraps it. It's not also Netflix is saying, because they commissioned it, right? Netflix is saying, all right, cool, just turn over what you got. And what we'll do, we'll make it what it is, because we're just following reality. Diddy's like, well, hold on now. If I lost the case, I'm down to still do it with you, but I got to be able to control it. Now, Diddy was probably going to kind of shape this doc to make it look like, hey, this was malicious prosecution. They kind of went really hard at me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a perfect guy, but I am a good guy.
Yeah.
And Diddy was like, I need to be able to craft it. And Netflix was like, no, you're not. And he's like,
well, my question is, did he sign the footage over to Netflix so they own it? Mm-mm. Like, how were they able to do this without his?
No, but he didn't pay for it. So essentially, they're calling it a payment error.
Ooh.
So essentially, the deal falls apart, or he's like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
So awkward.
And the people who did the work that have all this footage, they're like, so wait, you told us to film because this is going to be on Netflix. Now you're saying Netflix doesn't exist, and we're not getting paid because Diddy was going to pay with Netflix money. And Netflix realized this, and they went to the filmers and said, hey.
Let's start with what we actually know. Snoop Dogg's name does not appear in any court documents. It is not in the indictments. It is not in the federal charges that put Sean Combs behind bars. Not once. But online, his name started trending alongside some of the most serious accusations imaginable. And the reason for that comes down to two things: proximity and history. Snoop Dogg has been in this industry for over 30 years. He was in the room. He knew the players. He crossed paths with Diddy, with Suge Knight, with nearly every major power figure during hip-hop's most volatile era. Gan Deal, a former bodyguard from Diddy's circle, had been making rounds in interviews since the documentary dropped. He suggested that certain people were nervous, that the final cut left things out. That was all it took. From there, content creators built entire theories. Some even claimed 50 Cent had deliberately protected Snoop. Snoop became the perfect target. Famous, connected to both coasts, and suddenly very visible in a story that was moving
through the
fast.
prison of a modern-day rhetorical genius. A modern-day rhetorical genius. We're talking about the one, the great, the 50 Cent. All right. This guy's skill at rhetoric is absolutely next level. And this totally ties in with, how he famously is a big fan of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, rhetoric with a capital R, I can just give you the definition of that. That's basically public speech, particularly public speech that is to persuade. Any persuasive public speech is rhetoric, right? Now, we kind of break that down into two subcategories of rhetoric with a lowercase r and dialectic. Rhetoric is essentially everything else, and really what moves the needle with like 97% of people and 100% of groups, okay, is in fact rhetoric with the lowercase r. So again, stuff like this, 50 Cent is an absolute master of. Basically, he dropped this doc, this 50, this Sean Puffy Combs doc, and it's just kind of set the internet on fire. It's beating out Stranger Things. Like, it's a wild ride to watch, right? And
Here is where things get dangerous. When proximity replaces real evidence, when being near someone becomes the same as being guilty of something, stories stop being about facts. They start being about suspicion. And in situations like this, the loudest voices are almost never the most accurate ones. Let's be absolutely clear about what the reckoning actually was. It was never an industry-wide expose. It was never designed to take down every person Diddy ever spoke to. It was a documentary about Sean Combs, his rise through Bad Boy Records, the system that protected him for years, the victims, the patterns of control and exploitation. Snoop Dogg was not named as being involved in any crimes in that documentary, not once. There was no footage proving he participated in any wrongdoing. As for the idea that 50 Cent secretly protected Snoop, that is speculation, not evidence. Curtis Jackson has stated repeatedly that he only exposed what his legal team could stand behind and verify.
Look, and Pac,
in the car,
they only Pac, and they don't Suge. So allegedly, they got paid $500,000. The $500,000 was paid to the guy on the right, all the way to the right. You see the guy on the right, Corey? He's the one allegedly that got the $500,000, and that money never went to Keefe D or anybody else. The guy on the left is the one that stole the chain, the chain, which was a Death Row Records chain. That's a way of saying I got your rapper's chain, because if you were one of the guys, Death Row. So long story short, this whole thing is a recording that he said this. So what does Diddy do? Rob, can you pull up this song? It's a song called Black Rob, featuring Mark Curry and Mario Winans. If you can just type in lyrics, okay? So he gets $1 million. Can you go to the lyrics? And Diddy's in the lyrics when he gets started. Go a little bit lower. Can you type in the word in there, Rob? Nice guy. Type Control F, nice guy. Okay, right there. Look at it. It's 1999. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Been nice too long. I'm just going to start making y'all blank disappear. Man, first I'm going to take your records off the radio. Then I'm going to erase your social security number. Take your birth certificate out, flies. I'm going to do your whole effing family. Ain't nothing but mercy. And then, by the way, in the lyrics, he says, I'll drop $1 million on your head to erase you. Can you type in, I'll drop $1 million, just put Control F. Just go to Google and type this out. I'll drop $1 million on your head. I'll drop $1 million on your head, and just put Diddy next to it. Right there. See, it says Black Rob. What song came up? I'll drop $1 million on your head. Erase you and your whole family, biatch.
Wow.
He's saying it in the song on what he did to get rid of Tupac.
What an idiot.
If anything, this documentary showed restraint. In an era that rewards shock value and controversy, The Reckoning chose not to name people unless their involvement was backed by actual records or testimony strong enough to withstand scrutiny. That is why the hidden footage claims remain exactly what they are: claims. No one has produced verified clips. No court documents reference Snoop. No investigators have named him as a suspect or a target. But here is the detail that the rumor channels consistently leave out. After the documentary dropped, Snoop Dogg publicly supported 50 Cent. He posted alignment with Curtis, made it clear there was no conflict between them. Think about that. If Snoop were genuinely afraid of what 50 Cent might reveal, why would he publicly embrace him? Fear does not look like public support. If this story has opened your eyes, drop a like right now. It helps this video reach more people who need to hear the facts, not the rumors. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment. Hit that button and stay until the end, because the most important part of this story is still coming.
Being out there and allowing Misa to come out there to make money, however she was doing it, to feed her family. He vowed down that it's like, yo, I ain't never f***ing with her again, and I ain't never f***ing with him again. Puff and Suge had a conversation behind the House of Blues about was we all right, and Tupac was alive. Tupac wasn't dead. So if it was a war, Suge ain't having no conversation with Puff about we good. I know he could be doing the Hoboken hustle, trying to fool him, brother. But had he killed my man or something like that, I wouldn't have no conversation with Puff. I'd been like, yo, you know what y'all niggas done? You know what happened? And it wasn't no conversation like that, brother. It wasn't no conversation whereas that, Suge made Puff feel like I'm gonna get you a payback for what happened to Jake. This was more so that Puff, for whatever reason, Suge, for whatever reason he was mad at Puff, and Puff, for whatever reason he was mad at Suge, it was between them two. It wasn't no whole East Coast wanted the West Coast dead, and the West Coast wanted East Coast to dead, because they still was going out, still chilling, still at places with each other. It was Bad Boy, and it was Death Row. It wasn't no East Coast and no West Coast. West Coast dudes were still coming out on the East Coast getting love. East Coast niggas was still going out on the West Coast getting love. It was Bad Boy versus Death Row. And that's what it was, brother. And it was because of the two CEOs. But Suge tried to straighten it out. I gotta get at the Suge. the Death Row East Coast, the Death Row East was going to bring in Eric B. It was going to bring in Big D. And those brothers was from the East Coast. So now, they was looking for a representative to come to the meeting from Bad Boy so they could straighten out between Pac and Big and Death Row and Bad Boy. And Puff is the one who refused. Puff is the one to refuse to send a representative or either come himself. And got mad at Zip and them because they were in the Mirage on 57th Street partying with Suge Knight. Got mad at them. And Zip hung up the phone on him.
One of the most repeated theories in this whole saga comes from a man named Courtney Burgess. Burgess claimed to have flash drives allegedly connected to Kim Porter, Diddy's former partner, who passed away in 2018. According to Burgess, these drives contained images and videos of celebrities in deeply compromising situations. Online creators immediately filled in the blanks. Snoop Dogg's name was at the top of the list. But here is what almost nobody mentions. Kim Porter's own children publicly denied the authenticity of any materials being attributed to their mother. Federal investigators have not confirmed what is on those drives. And in official investigations, individuals appearing in that kind of material are generally treated as potential victims, not as perpetrators. No verified documents have named Snoop Dogg. No confirmed footage has been released. What happened next is a perfect case study in how misinformation spreads. A suggestion became a rumor became a headline, and the headline became something millions of people now accept as fact. Here is something that courts understand, and that online commentators often forget. Possessing unverified material is not the same as criminal activity. Courts require evidence, testimony, verification. Online commentary does not follow those standards. And that gap between what is said and what is proven is exactly where reputations get destroyed. So when you hear that Snoop is panicking because of flash drives, know this: there is zero evidence he has been questioned, zero indication he is under investigation, no legal action of any kind connected to his name.
Extras from when they had a conversation at the hospital and all that, that's absolutely not true. Say less, if you know what I mean. But instead of just saying less, since I've been in here, Snoop and other people been having people trying to bail the guy out, Keefy D, because he talking too much. Raising them trying to do stuff for Puffy because they say he talking too much. They even had somebody talk to me and say, hey, you can help him get free. I said, look, I don't have nothing to do with none of that, and I'm not leaving prison to go to nobody county jail. To the point they were saying, well, you can't leave and sacrifice a little bit in the county jail to stop that black man from getting life? Hell no. I ain't wishing bad on him at all, because I don't want to see nobody go to prison. And like I told you last time, as I find out more details about certain things, I probably would go to the Vegas County Jail if me and Keefy D was sellies. We have a good conversation after I give him, six upside his head, another 6 in his body, and another 2. But yeah, that's different. It didn't happen with
Then there is Suge Knight. Over the years, Suge has made claim after claim against Snoop Dogg, accusing him of betrayal, of wrongdoing, of involvement in the events surrounding Tupac Shakur's murder. But these accusations are not new. They resurface every time the industry faces a major moment of reckoning. And in all the years they have circulated, they have never been proven. Suge Knight makes these claims from prison, during interviews that gain traction specifically because they are controversial, not because they are verified. Snoop has consistently called them false, built on personal resentment, a grudge that has aged poorly. Law enforcement investigations into Tupac Shakur's death have never produced charges against Snoop Dogg. Not once. In decades of investigation.
Just got out the gym, doing my workout box. Shit, you right. History would repeat itself. Cause nigga, you wasn't the only nigga in the room, nigga. You wasn't by yourself. There was other people in the room too. I'm not gonna say no names, cause like you said, we don't talk. So why you on here talking? Let that go, man. And as far as Snoop and Corrupt writing my album, you ask them niggas that. Them niggas ain't wrote my album. Corrupt helped me with Do You See? Snoop helped me with This DJ. Other than that, everything else I wrote. So that's where you wrong at again. And as far as the tough guy, do you recall when we was at the World Club and it said Death Row and NWA? Who fired on that? Me. When you was at the Comedy Store, fighting that little buff ass at the Comedy Store, who saved your motherfucking ass? Me and C-Style. So what have I done to you? For you to launch out at me? Look, don't get mad at me, man. I ain't never.
Here's something about the online world that content creators understand, and most viewers do not. Repetition replaces confirmation. The more a claim is repeated, regardless of whether it has ever been proven, the more real it begins to feel. This is not a theory. It is a well-documented psychological effect. What gets lost in this process is context. The relationship between Snoop Dogg and Suge Knight has not just cooled, it collapsed. Publicly, completely. Their business disputes, their personal conflicts, their open hostility are all well documented. When someone makes serious accusations against a person they despise from a prison cell, that context is not a footnote. It is the entire story. Repeating old accusations does not make them more true. It only makes them more widespread.
Share with you guys on what I took away from it. But Rob, maybe share the clip on how he got access to some of the footage of the documentary. Is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
Go for it.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figure most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day.
Perhaps. Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
So that doesn't mean it's not true.
Of course.
But they relied on stolen footage, okay, is what they relied on. And then they ask about the history of 50 and him, issue that they've had. What's the one you just pulled up, Rob?
This is where they talk about the feud, and then I also have 50 Cent talking about Diddy's reaction to the documentary.
Yeah, that's so funny. That is so funny. But watch this one here. Go ahead, Rob.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
Yeah, I mean, so that's that part, right? The fact that the feud with the two of them, hey, let me take you shopping. Like, you say that to a girl in 50s, like, what are you talking about? Take me shopping. How do you have a flipping mind? You want to take me shopping? And then last but not least, Rob, the other clip you have of 50 is talking about how he thinks Diddy's going to like this documentary. Go ahead, Rob.
Sean Combs watches this. What do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
Can't even hold it.
Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about it.
Here is the difference that matters most. The divide between Snoop Dogg and Sean Combs right now is not about who is more famous. It is not about who has more enemies. It is about evidence. Sean Combs was convicted. That conviction came from years of investigation, from witness testimony, from documented patterns of behavior that federal prosecutors could prove in a court of law. Snoop Dogg's situation? It is built on association and speculation, nothing more. As of December 2025, federal authorities have confirmed no charges, no indictments, no active investigations connected to Snoop Dogg's name. That matters, because in a period when major figures are being exposed, the silence of law enforcement is not protection. It is simply the absence of provable evidence. The music industry is going through the biggest reckoning in its history, but not everyone caught in the orbit of this storm is guilty. Mixing speculation with fact does not make the truth clearer. It makes it harder to find when it actually matters. Right now, Snoop Dogg finds himself at the center of one of the internet's most recognizable and most destructive habits, turning mystery into accusation, turning old conflicts into new evidence, turning speculation into fear. But when you strip away the dramatic thumbnails and the reaction videos and the recycled prison interviews, the facts are actually quite simple. There is no verified footage. There are no criminal charges. There is no evidence of disappearance or panic. The real story is not about Snoop running from anything. It is about what happens when an empire falls, and everyone who ever stood near that empire gets automatically treated as a suspect. As the fallout from Sean Combs' conviction continues, more information will emerge. Some will be real. Some will be manufactured to drive clicks. The question that matters is not who the internet wants to target next. The real question is this: will truth be allowed to speak louder than rumor? Or will speculation keep deciding guilt before a single fact is ever proven? That is the reckoning that matters, not just for Snoop, for all of us. If this video helped you separate fact from fiction, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. The conversation doesn't end here.